Well, good morning, Eagles, and I hope you're continuing to enjoy Fit Week. I've been enjoying walking to work and also doing my online workouts this week. So please stay active and enjoy Fit Week, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But today is Thursday. It is May 20th, the day 5 on our school calendar. And I heard some really nice feedback yesterday about this version of O Canada, and Mrs. Orshinsky was saying how touching and how powerful it is. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. I did notice that I could have probably trimmed the end of it, but it is nice to see everyone who participated in there in the credits. So enjoy our national anthem, and thank you very much for the positive feedback.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. Car ton bras porté les il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. Paul qui Poland, glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard stand on guard for thee.
And our quote for May 20th: that's the risk you take if you change. That the people you've been involved with won't like the new you, but other people who do will come along. Thank you very much from Lisa Arthur. Well, friends grow apart, interests change, priorities change, and likes and dislikes change, and sometimes you change faster than some of your friends. You may mature more quickly. You may move up in a grade in school. You may get a job or start a new activity, or you may go off in a completely different direction where your friends don't want to follow. Be patient if that happens. New friends will come along. And from our Healthy Schools, Healthy Homes corner, we've been talking about sleep this week, about getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep. And sometimes we do some things like staying up late, using screen time, other things that prevent that from happening. And some ways to ensure that you can fall asleep. That's what we talked about yesterday. Avoiding that screen time at night, still a very big one. Well, as you get older, your sleep does change. And as you were younger, maybe it was a little bit easier to fall asleep or your sleep patterns were different. And just the difference between teen, and that is our 13-year-olds and up, and those of us who are younger, teens tend to have irregular sleep patterns because they stay up later, they sleep in later on weekends. Biological sleep patterns do shift. And even secondary schools have considered in different parts of Ontario and around the world about starting later to allow teenagers to sleep in because of those changing patterns. So, something that has been considered, and just know that it is normal, it is healthy. Our sleep patterns do change. And those ideas that we talked about earlier, having a strong routine, doing things such as shutting down the electronics before we sleep, all of those things will help us get those 8 to 10 hours of sleep that we need. And today, take the perks of spring during your walk. Take them in. Enjoy the surroundings, enjoy the walk, enjoy the fresh air. A walk in nature walks the soul back home, says Mary Davis. At lunchtime today, staff, you may tune in to Ask the Professional, a chiropractor, which some of us, I speak for myself, some of us do use occasionally. And at 4 o'clock tonight, our joint employee assistance plan, a live webinar on financial well-being. And we hope you are continuing to enjoy Fit Week, thinking positively for Fit Week 2021. And we're going to have one more day after this and some great ideas. But we hope you keep on being healthy and fit past just this week. And thank you for joining us for Fit Week 2021. And I almost forgot, please also make sure any pictures or videos that you have of your activities for Think Positively Fit Week 2021, please send those along to either your teacher or Mrs. Allison through Edsby. We'd love to see them and hear them, and Mrs. Allison's going to put those together for us. And loving food, hating waste. All of our ideas on reducing food waste. Today we've got a Canadian content idea that talks about not only what we're doing in Canada, but at the very end share some ideas about what's going on around the world as well. So some great ideas getting into more 7, 8, 9, 10 as well, and rescuing food. There's a really great little app that they talk about there about sharing food and being able to order food that's been shared as well. And spreading the word, that's our job, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow.
Okay, it's gonna take a while to heat up.
Chef Jagger Gordon hates the thought of people going hungry.
Smells delicious.
With a thriving catering business, he's almost always surrounded by food. So he was shocked years ago when his young daughter came home from a sleepover and told him there had been no breakfast for anyone.
I always thought there was enough food for everyone. Why would someone not have food in their fridge in the morning?
The realization that poverty and hunger were so close to home, while also seeing the incredible amount of food that goes to waste in his industry, turned this caterer into a crusader.
We are feeding thousands of people a week and diverting tens of thousands of pounds a week of perfectly edible food that's no landfills.
His mission is to feed it forward with a number of projects like this grocery store. The food here is practically free.
And people just pay what they can?
Yeah, it's more like donate what you can.
The workers are volunteers, the food donated by retailers. Looks perfect, but it didn't sell fast enough and is no longer considered fresh enough for fussy consumers.
This would have been sold somewhere else, most of this stuff?
So this was for sale everywhere. This is rescued. All this food and everything that I deal with is rescue food.
Rescued from the garbage heap. $31 billion worth a year, just in Canada. Food goes to waste on the farm, in transit, in processing plants, in restaurants, and in our homes. Now, that's changing.
Last 20 years, Our team has been focused on extracting waste from the supply chain.
Efficiency expert Martin Gooch did the research that came up with that $31 billion figure.
And this project is the first of its type in the world.
Today, he's telling a group of farmers about his newest project that will highlight where exactly waste occurs and how much it costs business.
We have this perception of affluence and abundance. We can afford, most of us can afford to waste some food, whether we're an individual consumer or whether we're a business. Hi, Laurie.
Hi, nice to see you.
His project is being funded by Second Harvest, a social agency that distributed over 10 million pounds of surplus food last year.
We know that there is so much more food that we're not accessing. And that's one of the reasons we're doing this research, is to find out, okay, where is this food?
Every morning, a team delivers truckloads of unsold food donated by big grocers.
But what we found was there was a lot of places that were smaller in scale that we weren't going to pick up from because we wouldn't send a truck there. It just wasn't efficient. So we created something called foodrescue.ca. It's a web-based platform. I kind of call it the eHarmony of food.
The site matches smaller donors and those in need. A great idea, but still, as a society, we toss far too much food, and that contributes to global warming. Rotting food creates methane, a pollutant even worse than carbon dioxide. That's what inspired this young company.
So this is the regular box that gets delivered weekly in Toronto and London. It has basically produce that farmers can't sell to grocery stores, and they usually end up throwing away in the garbage.
Cedric Samaha is with Flash Food, a startup that offers home delivery of less than perfect vegetables, rejected by grocers.
For example, this potato, it's disfigured.
I feel like I've bought potatoes like that at the store
exactly.
before. That's not that radical.
Yeah, most of them don't have a lot of issues. Like the cucumber, the size sometimes is an issue, so they won't send it through.
That looks perfect too.
Yeah.
Flash Food is growing thanks to demand from customers like John Griffiths and Michelle Clark.
Having a box delivered which is food that would normally go to waste because it doesn't look perfect is great.
The service doesn't save them any money, but the home delivery is convenient, and they believe less waste will slow climate change.
This summer's been so hot that it's going to get worse.
Back with chef Jagger Gordon, he's taking his Feed It Forward idea to a new level. He's come up with an app that will allow anyone to share their extra food.
You just take a picture of the product that you want to donate, any food item that's still edible in good standing. So a piece of pizza or even a truckload of tomatoes, you just take a picture of it.
It uploads to a map so that whoever wants it can come get it.
But the great thing is every city can now be in competition of who is saving how much food from the landfills and how much food is actually being given back to people in need.
So you're going to try and start that competition, I guess.
It's starting.
The app launches into the marketplace next month, and many would say none too soon. It's time to get on board what's being called a global food waste revolution. Diane Buckner, CBC News, Toronto.
Europe has been ahead of the game when it comes to legislation around food waste. In 2016, France became the first country in the world to ban supermarkets from throwing away or destroying unsold food. The big retailers now have to donate those goods to food banks and charities, or else face heavy fines. Italy followed suit, offering incentives to businesses who donate food to charities. It's also cleared some of the hurdles around donating food that's just past its expiry date. That was a big concern for health and liability reasons.
And in our social networking safety corner, we are making sure that we are kind and respectful on social media. We are responsible and accountable for what gets posted on your social media account. The platforms not being storage devices, and to remember things can get deleted. And today, social media platforms, they have the right to delete your post or your account for any reason. And they can't guarantee that everyone will be comfortable with the content that you post or that you view. But if there's a complaint, they will delete it and possibly even remove your account. And I've had that happen to a friend of mine who made a comment on Twitter, and they gave him a Twitter timeout. It was added back afterwards, or he got it back afterwards. But social media, the companies, they do take it seriously. So make sure that everything you are posting is acceptable, because it can be removed, sometimes temporarily, sometimes permanently. And we are Eagles. And because of that, we are accepting. All week long, we've been talking about stopping and thinking about before we speak, before we use a nasty word. We're considering whether something makes us feel happy, considering whether we can help out in this situation. Also, what would make me feel good in this instance? Yesterday we talked about pointing and staring at people and how uncomfortable that can make somebody. And to end off today, we're for acceptance. Tomorrow we'll see a short video on this, but talking quietly about someone's difference doesn't mean that they can't hear you. Talking behind their back doesn't mean that they won't find out. So we're all unique in our own way. Some great advice for the last point, and we should be respectful at all times, whether we think people are listening to us and whether the other person is hearing us or not. We should do the right thing so that everyone is accepted. Well, yesterday we talked about barking lots and miced tea. Today, what do you get when you cross a leopard with a dishwasher? Knew that one was coming. Spots on your dishes. How about why don't banks allow kangaroos to open accounts? You don't want to check bouncing, that's for sure. Well, those are our funnies for today. Our thought for today: I won't be afraid to change. Someone else will come and take someone else's spot. We want to be ourselves. We want to improve. And our friends sometimes don't come along with that, but there will be others that do. So great idea. I won't be afraid to change. And for everyone, just before our final Friday, before a long weekend, before our final day of Fit Week, we are going to have a thrilling Thursday.